My daughter convinced my wife to demand an open marriage, so I took her 21-year-old best friend on a date. It started with laughter, faint, echoing from the living room, that easy, careless kind of laughter that didn't belong to me anymore. I was in the kitchen, holding a glass of water I didn't drink. My wife sat on the couch, phone in hand, my daughter beside her, both smiling, whispering. Then, the phrase that split something inside me: "You should just tell Dad. It's 2025. Open marriages are normal now." Silence after. Then giggles. I didn't move, didn't breathe. The air felt too thick to swallow. An open marriage. From my wife. My daughter encouraging it. I turned the glass slowly in my hand. There was no explosion, no shouting, just a cold, still realization. The people in that room, the two people I'd given everything for, were already somewhere else emotionally, far beyond the walls of this home. That night I didn't confront her. I just listened, watched her walk past me with her phone clutched to her chest. I watched the way her smile lingered even when she wasn't looking at me. And when she said, "We need to talk," the next evening, I already knew what words were coming. She sat across from me at the table, the same one where we celebrated anniversaries and birthdays. Now it was an execution site. Her tone was calm, calculated, like she'd rehearsed every line in front of a mirror. "I still love you, but I feel like we've both changed. I need to explore myself, and I think an open marriage could actually bring us closer." I just looked at her, not at her lips, not her eyes. I looked at her composure, the careful rhythm of her breathing, the way she didn't tremble. She believed every word she was saying. I nodded once, slowly. "And whose idea was that?" She hesitated, just long enough to confirm everything I'd already overheard. "No one's. Just something I've been reading about." I smiled, the kind of smile that hides a storm. Inside, something quiet snapped. Not anger, that would have been too loud. It was something colder, something clean. That night, when she fell asleep beside me, I stared at the ceiling. My daughter's laughter replayed in my head. My wife's words folded over it like a knife cutting silk. An open marriage? No tears came, only clarity. For the next few days, I became what she always said I wasn't: attentive. Not to her heart, to her behavior. I watched her eyes, the way her phone stayed face down, the sudden gym sessions, the new perfume, the late girls' nights. I didn't question, I simply logged details. She mistook my silence for acceptance. She thought I was adjusting to the idea. Good. In those days, I became invisible. I let her breathe freely in her illusion. But my mind was recording everything. My daughter, too, became distant, guarded. She'd send quick texts and hide her screen. I caught the reflection once, her mother's contact saved under a different name. Secrets upon secrets. When my wife left one evening for another wellness dinner, I followed, not physically, but digitally. A GPS app, one she'd forgotten I installed when she got her new car. She wasn't at a restaurant. She was at a downtown hotel. Room 403. The man was easy to find. Her coworker, her mentor, divorced, mid-40s, smug. I'd met him once at a company event. He'd shaken my hand with the softness of someone who never worked for anything real. They were sloppy. I gathered screenshots, GPS logs, timestamps. I didn't confront. I waited. Then one afternoon, my daughter's phone pinged on the counter. She was in the shower. I didn't mean to look, but the preview was right there. Mom says Dad's finally open to it. Thank God. She was so nervous. And below it, a heart emoji, sent to her best friend. I froze. Her best friend? The same one who'd spent countless weekends at our house? The one who called me Uncle Mark? The one who'd once told me, shyly, that she admired how much I loved my family? A connection. A loop. My wife. My daughter. Her best friend. This wasn't just betrayal, it was coordination. That night, I started planning my revenge. Not the kind that breaks things, the kind that rearranges the pieces permanently. The truth arrived wrapped in banality. It was a Monday. My wife came home early, smiling, always a bad sign. She announced she'd booked a spa weekend for herself, said she needed clarity before we took the next step. She even kissed my cheek before leaving. When the door closed, I sat in silence for a long time. Then I made a call. To the same hotel, room 403. Yes, booked under her coworker's name again. Yes, same car parked outside. I didn't go there. I didn't need to. Instead, I forwarded the evidence, photos, location logs, time-stamped calls, to HR of her company. Then to the man's ex-wife, who still handled his custody case. By evening, both their professional and personal lives were ash. The next morning, she came home pale, her phone buzzing nonstop. "Mark, something happened. Someone sent pictures to my boss, to everyone." Her voice cracked. She looked terrified. I looked up from my coffee, calm, steady. "You said you wanted freedom. I just gave it to you." Her mouth opened, but no sound came out. She just stared at me, realizing, slowly, that I'd known everything. That I'd moved before she even realized the game had started. I didn't shout, didn't threaten. I just handed her the manila folder I'd prepared. Copies of every log, every photo, every lie. "You should have been more careful," I said quietly. "When you're playing with people's hearts, don't leave fingerprints." She sat down, trembling. For the first time in years, she couldn't speak. The fallout spread quickly. She was suspended from work pending investigation. Her mentor was fired within 48 hours. I filed for separation the next day. No arguments, no second chances. She begged, she cried. But it wasn't guilt, it was survival. I recognized the difference. My daughter didn't speak to me for weeks. She blamed me, said I destroyed Mom. I didn't respond. Then one evening she stormed into my office and shouted, "You could have just said no to the open marriage. You didn't have to ruin her life." I turned to her, calm, cold. She ruined her own life. I just turned on the lights. She left in tears. But what she didn't know was that I'd already made plans of my own. Not out of spite, but control. Her best friend, the one she'd texted about our open marriage idea, had reached out to me after everything fell apart. She wanted to apologize. Said she never meant for things to go this far. We met for coffee. Just coffee. She was quiet, thoughtful, 21, but with eyes that had seen more than they should have. She said she admired how calm I'd been through it all, that most men would have exploded. "I don't believe in explosions," I said. "They make too much noise. I prefer aftershocks." She laughed softly, not nervously, but knowingly. And that's when I realized what my wife never understood. Power isn't taken with noise. It's reclaimed in silence. I didn't date her. I didn't cross any lines. But the rumors did. My wife heard about it from our daughter, how I'd been seen out with her best friend, how people whispered. For once, the pain she'd inflicted came back to her, not through proof, but through possibility. The betrayal she imagined now burned her every night. She called me one evening, her voice shaking. "Please, tell me it's not true. Tell me you're not seeing her." I waited, let the silence stretch. "Does it matter?" I said finally. "We're open now, aren't we?" The line went dead. Months later, the papers were finalized. She moved in with her sister. I kept the house, not out of sentiment, but proof. Proof that I could rebuild from the ashes of someone else's lies. My daughter eventually came around, slowly. She saw what her mother's freedom had really cost. Sometimes she'd sit quietly in the kitchen, eyes distant. Once she asked, "Do you still love her?" I thought about it. Love? That fragile, dangerous illusion that binds you until it rots? "I loved who I thought she was," I said. "That person doesn't exist anymore. Now, when I wake up, The silence feels different. Not empty, just mine. I still think about that laughter from the beginning, how it marked the death of one life and the birth of another. The wife who wanted freedom found it in unemployment, isolation, and regret. The daughter who played matchmaker learned what betrayal really feels like. And me? I didn't win. I just stopped losing. That's enough.
How could you do this?